Every minute and 29 seconds, there's a birth in Canada. And every minute 31 seconds, there's a death. Every minute and 27 seconds, there's a new immigrant. And every approximately 4 minutes, we have a new non-permanent resident. Now, we lose someone every 9 minutes, and somebody's going between provinces about every 3 minutes. Now, I kind of question these numbers right here, and I'll show you why I'm questioning this model. It is a model on StatsCan's webpage, but when I look at this other StatsCan, it's an annual demographic estimate. Okay, so it's not perfect, and this is as of July 1st in 2024. Now, 41 million people. And we had a population growth of 1.2 million. That's an approximate 3% rate. That actually seems pretty good, right? Well, what are the factors? 15,000 people came as a result of natural increase. And yes, almost 2 million are net international migrants. And you can see what's going on right here. Back to 2001, 300,000 population growth. And you can see that it's a fairly flat curve here all the way up to, well, let's say 2015, where we start to grow quickly. Now, we could talk politics about what's going on here, but we do see a reduction in 2019. And 2020, something was going on in the world, I'm not going to say it. And then we have this explosion of population growth. And so what are the factors that are driving this? In a lot of these years, or actually every year, we can see that the darker bar is the bigger bar. So the natural increase is the blue bar. The net international migrants is this bar. And we can see that that is most of our population growth. This little conversation gets scarier yet. So just hang on. I'm laughing a little because we kind of had something going in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, okay? You look at the 90s here, we had 104,000 births in the third quarter of 1990, okay? This is just a quarter. And yeah, we had a number of deaths, but we had a natural increase of about 60,000 people. Since this time, or around this time, we have seen a steady decline of quarterly natural increase in the population. We had a little bit of a jump here through the early 2000s. It actually started to come back up. And then you can see there is this steady decline from about 2009 again to the point where I think we gotta hit a panic button when we see something like this. This is minus 4,000 people in the first quarter of 2022. And it's not like it's gotten much better since that time. So we can talk about the events in the world, but this is not getting any better. And we can see actually a steady increase in deaths, which, to me as a math person, this suggests higher population and or it suggests we're getting older. And I would say that the data supports that just right here, okay? Now, what's the reason? Again, what we're seeing back here in the 70s and the 80s, we see relatively even natural increase with net international migration. There's even a lot of times where the natural increase is exceeding the migration. That's not the case as soon as we hit the 2000s. And it's every quarter here, or at least almost every quarter, that it is far exceeding our natural increase. So the amount of people that are having babies is way less than the amount of people we're bringing in. So I would challenge anyone to say that our population growth hasn't been almost entirely based on immigration in the 2000s. There's another component here, and I know a lot of people are talking about non-permanent residents right now. There is a lot of growth in that. You can see it kind of went a little crazy in the last few years, but it was already going crazy in the mid to late 2010s. So as we look at the numbers, and I'm going to get off this point here, but like the numbers are continuing. It's not like this is really changing. Per quarter, 13,000 natural growth, 18,000 here, 2,000 here, 1,000 here. This is not a changing trend. We got to talk about why. And I think a lot of this points to the policies here in Canada and the way we have developed as a country. I'm a millennial, so I saw the way our lifestyle and the way people have changed over time. And I think it's mostly a societal pressure doing it to us. Back here in 1981, the average income was $45,000. Now, you can argue about how many people were working, and that's another discussion for another day. But that's the average income, okay? Now, as we move into the 90s, we can see relatively flat average income. We're still in this 44,000. And by the way, when it's denoted with an A, the Canadian government, the Stats Canada, tell us the data quality is excellent. So when you're seeing A, those are very accurate numbers according to them. Now, as we progress, okay, we're in the late to mid 1990s, let's have a look. It is increasing, and so that's good to see. We have $59,000 as an average in 2023, $59,400. Now, that would represent, well, from 44,000, that's $15,000. You could call that 125% of this number, just an approximate number, okay? Societal pressures matter to families. We can't say that having a child is a free thing to do in this country. Having a couple of children, you have to house them. And I think this is the most pertinent graph that I've been able to find. Now, this is not a Canadian government source. This is a house price index. You can see Terranet and National Bank of Canada. Okay, so we can call into question some of the data here. In general, if we treat this data as accurate, from the year 2000, where they kind of have this running total line of the growth, okay, and they're calling it the index. From here, the index number says 68, okay? And you can see it's kind of lining up over here, 68, okay? As we increase every year, almost every year, there is a year-over-year increase. And what they're doing is they're just showing you every month was the price generally growing year over year. So looking at the past year, we could see in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, sometimes 13%. Lots of this is at 4, 5, 8 to 9%. We have a little drop here. This was the financial crisis. But, so we had a little bit of a dip in the housing price index, but you can see this number is going up to 312. Even with these small decreases that we've had here, these big bumps and these sorts of things, when you look at this, 300 as an index, that's like your growth in the cost of housing. And I know it doesn't exactly line up, and people are going to point out little issues with this data and with what this means. But it's an example of the fact that when you only go from this as an average income, and we can even go right from here, $48,000 in 2000, we have another $11,000 to work with as an average income, but we've grown from this 68 index to over 300 in terms of housing costs. And it's just an example. It doesn't talk about inflation. It doesn't talk about all these other things. So my point is, that we're replacing our entire population at this point with immigration. We're bringing in other people and we're not actually having children. And none of our policies right now, in my opinion, are really helping us balance this out. So if we want to grow as a country, what we're saying is we want to grow as a country and we want to grow from different sources. Well, I kind of remember as a millennial what life was like here in the 80s and the 90s. And I thought life in Canada was pretty nice. Was it perfect? No. But these days, I think Canada's dealing with a lot more problems. And we'll talk about those as we go on Millennial Math more and more. But the point of this is that our policies are not supporting, and we haven't been supporting people having children for a very long time. That's what we need to do instead, in my opinion. Instead of this, we need to get back to replacing our population with new children. And the policies need to support that. They're not supporting that, and we need to do better. The fact is, the policies are not supporting a birth every minute or every half a minute. They are supporting an immigrant every minute and a half. And I think it's worth it to say that Canada is a great country and we should try to hold on to what it is and even at some level what it was in the past. That's the millennial math I have for you today. Not a lot of calculations, but a lot of statistics that show us things are headed in a very different direction than we might expect.